you manifest yourself as something, then it slowly starts to take shape. If you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you can achieve it, then you won't. But if you really believe in your heart that you're gonna do it, then you will get what you want.
What makes Morning Fatty special is the people that are in the band. They've got Miller Joyner, and then they've got Andrew White and John Pop, and they've got Tim on drums, and those four people are unique individuals that have very specific backgrounds that when you put them together, they are a dangerous music machine.
The music tells a story every time of how we're feeling. You know, you can always tell when Fatty's here to play because it'll hit you right in your chest. There's a lot of shit that goes into being a band. Not only is it business, you're dealing with energy. That is literally your field. So enable to become a professional, you have to dedicate every aspect of your life to it. We work as one entity when we're, you know, practicing and playing. Like whenever the music's happening, we're focusing on that one sound.
There's a lot of work involved behind the scenes, and as soon as bands start realizing that, then that's when they can become professional. And I think that's what separates us with a lot of local groups and regional groups.
We're a very self-sustained band. You don't see us working with any type of management or any type of promotion person specifically, or somebody in charge of this or that. We're all doing it ourselves. And we've taken it pretty far doing it like this.
Yeah.
And it's helped us out in many ways, but it's been a lot of hard work.
It's forced us to grow in our own shoes and to learn from our mistakes.
Easier. You don't have to run anything by anybody. It's just as quick as we work, is as fast as the band will progress.
It helps us to stay more organic too, doing that. Not having to play for anybody or listen to anybody's guidelines or go by a rule book or anything like that. It's just us and what do we want. You know, we're all on the same train, riding to the same destination.
You know, the hardest thing in life sometimes is to stick to your guns, plant your feet, and make your moves, and be in control of your own destiny. I think it's a challenge to not sign a record deal or a major contract when you get small offers put at you. So I think that the greatest you know, success story out of their challenges is their willingness and their desire to be an independent rock band that does things on their own terms, that is doing and learning the industry from the inside out, and the opportunities and the long game that are available to them, priceless.
Honestly, Morning Fatty was founded on partying, and that is a fact.
The Oasis is beautiful, magical, mystical home of Morning Fatty. It was the home of legendary parties, things that you only hear about in like the 70s and the 80s and stuff. People jumping off roofs and into pools, and, you know, I don't know, cops getting called, and, you know, 5 a.m. sessions with, you know, Zach Deputy playing on drums.
It's definitely a place where everybody came to just be themselves. While we were practicing and playing music at that house, like, that went into our music. just hanging out, you know, smoking dope, drinking beers, just, you know, having a big
smoking
time.
dope. The fatty lesson that we've learned with every hardship that happens, we seem to come out on top a little later.
Jared, their drummer, leaving the band, I know how hard that was. It wasn't easy, but as with everything in life, sometimes a tough situation leads to new opportunities that are really cool.
Jared, he left, it sucked. That was definitely a really big change, you know. We had no idea that was gonna happen.
He took a big leap for everybody, you know. He took a leap for himself and a leap for the band. Well, Tim, he's a professional coming into the band, so he brought a kind of a sharpened mindset on the industry, and you know, pretty much allowed us to grow.
I mean, like you said, Tim has been in the industry. He was touring with the Black Eyed Peas, you know, played with the Wailers. I think he said he did a gig with Destiny's Child. You know, he's definitely been in the industry, and he's such a high caliber musician that when he came to us, it just kind of took us, like, I mean, we all consider ourselves pretty good musicians, but he came in and we're like, okay, we need to get on his level, so it just brought the bar up to the next level.
You can't just put an exact label on what they do and what they're going to do, because you just don't know. You're waiting for that next thing that they're going to do, because they're the type of band that will surprise you at every single turn.
We get to see people at their best.
That is one of the coolest parts about being a musician. Like, you're seeing everybody on like their big night. This is my night to be myself.
So we get to travel from city to city and just get happy people generally, and it's pretty rewarding.
And what's really cool about them as people is that they're not afraid of their fan base. They embrace their fans. Their fans are some of the best in the world, and they're some of the best people in the world. So we really have this symbiotic relationship between them as a musical entity, and we're all fans, and we love their music.
It's the biggest reward for me is having people listen to the music, and rather than doing a 9 to 5 or anything else, like, the risk is so worth it.
There's a small list of bands that are out there that are challenging themselves to write real albums, that are putting their every ounce of honesty and integrity that they can into their music to make it real for themselves. They're not out there trying to sell 1 million records. They're doing probably better than most bands who are trying to sell records, but their emphasis is on creating great music. They're challenging themselves to be leaders in the musical community, and it's working.
It's the drive. I mean, the drive to succeed. There's no manual, there's no handbook on how to become a successful musician. It's literally based on our creativity is the only thing that's going to drive us, and ways to infiltrate the market and be a sturdy business, as well as keep up the creative side and make new music. And so you look at that and realize that we're the only factor that's going to drive us to continue to progress.
It's easy in life to kind of forget that the process of getting to where you want to be is the journey that we're all searching for. It is the ultimate success story. It's the best part of the story. It's where the story takes place. So, Morning Fatty, what could stop them from getting to where I believe they're going? Quitting. I think that when you're a band of destiny, you just keep asking, and you keep producing, you keep challenging yourself, you never give up, and you always, always remember what got you motivated in the first place. It's a passion for music. It's a way to live this life. If I would have to quote Miller Joyner with one of my favorite songs that he wrote, it's a day-to-day to live this life. So come on and move your feet. And I think that overall, Morning Fatty makes fans move their feet. They give fans something to believe in. At some point, all we're gonna have is stories, and all we're gonna have is music, and all we're gonna have is, a memory of what someone said something was like. So, in the sake of, making what we can for what we have now so that we can enjoy life, so that we can share it with others, and so that we can make the world a better place. Bands like Morning Fatty need to exist.
My existence kind of turned into, when I was awake, it was too painful for me to be awake and sober.
This my excavation.
When I was about to turn 16, I really hit a rough patch emotionally and mentally. From my best memory, I think that the first notion of this was, it was a Friday night, and normally I'd be going out to some party. I think I decided one night out of nowhere that I just didn't want to go. That kind of turned into not really a one-night thing. It just transcended from there to me spending a lot of time alone and becoming very depressed, not really understanding what I was feeling. I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 disorder. I would already spend 14 hours at least every day asleep in a dark room. I had blackout shutters. I didn't ever see the daytime. I would sleep all the way through the sunlight hours. But it was in high school that I really, that all hit me, and I experienced it for the first time. I lost a lot of friends, not because I would go crazy or anything, just because I lost all interest of communicating with the world. I stopped going to school. I almost got my driver's license taken away because I had too many absences. I want to say that it got better after high school, but it didn't. The worst year of my entire life was my freshman year. I lived in a dorm for a month and then I moved in with a boyfriend. I really just kind of hated myself.
Alex and I met years ago. We became closer probably right before we moved in together. The big event freshman year was her relationship that she was kind of in and out of the entire time. And I think it instigated a lot of other things that were buried or not so buried, emotionally. I understand when you're hurt, you want some sort of outlet, but it upset me that it had to be a negative path that she chose to cope with.
Bipolar type 2 is more on the depressive side. I got pretty deep into narcotics, painkillers in particular, and then amphetamines also.
Going through the waves, it wasn't hard. I wasn't actually feeling the same emotions that she was feeling, but when you care about somebody and you see somebody go through these hard times, you don't want to see anybody you love be hurt. It was sad because I knew I couldn't do anything about it except try and be there.
I didn't leave my room ever, really, unless I had to. The only thing that I ever did leave my room to go do was go to some type of show or concert. Those were the only times that I felt an escape from, the darkness of underneath my covers. I felt like music at that time was the only thing that I could really connect to.
She is very in touch with music, and I feel like because she has this ability to have music cater to every mood that's felt, she's able to pull herself out of feelings and emotions and bad times and everything. So I just feel like it's part of who she is.
My worst days in depression, I think can be paired with a song. I started developing like a little library of music that I would turn to when I would experience different thoughts and feelings and emotions, and that song has been written about almost every type of feeling in this world. And when you find songs like that that describe what you're feeling when you can't even describe the way that you're feeling, that's something really special and really powerful, to know that someone out there wrote that song. Someone knows how you're feeling.
I went through a breakup recently, and we would just be driving around, and she knew how to like fit my mood. And this summer she did like music licensing, I think it was. She'd literally do what she does for me in real life, but for shows. And like, I think she's extremely gifted, and her knowledge base is just so wide.
Instead of doing schoolwork, I spent a lot of time analyzing lyrics. I would take a song and I would play it as many times as I needed to until I had every single word of that song written down on a piece of paper. And I would spend hours just scouring over every line. I wanted to know what the words meant and what they were referring to, and that actually was a very positive outlet for me. I always felt a lot better when, I got through an entire song and I felt like I really understood what the artist was trying to say. I do have a lyric tattooed on my arm. It says, "This my excavation." It's the first line of a song called Regarded Stacks by Bon Iver. So that lyric's really very important to me. I got this tattooed the day I graduated from high school because I thought, for a while that I wasn't gonna make it to high school graduation. Cultivating and curating and branding music and sharing that with others, putting it out into the world, that is my life ambition. I think that it's important for everyone to experience the true powers of music. I recently visited New York City and fell in love. There's a lot of potential there to start to grow my music career. I feel like that would be a really interesting and really great environment to start building, the hustle and bustle and all of the opportunity and the love and silliness that is New York. I think that my ultimate fear is not so much failure, not so much not getting a job and establishing, this life that I want in New York. I think that my fear would be, regressing back into, states that I've spent years in the past.
It was dark and it comes in waves, but she's definitely come out of a lot of the bad habits that she formed, and music was a huge, integrative part of her healing process. She's grown so much. I feel like she's indefinitely gonna be doing something with the music, because also you should do something you're passionate about, and you can tell she's passionate about it because it's hit close to home for her. Moving away and launching off into the real world, no better reality check than moving to New York City. I worry about her, but that's just because I've seen her at her worst, I feel like. But I'm confident in her. She showed me how important it can be and how much it can really heal you. It can hurt you too, but it makes you feel things, and it makes you sort out your feelings, and it makes you just have something to relate to when you feel like you have nothing else.
Music has done more than save my life. It's got that one down for sure, but it's enhanced my life. It's built my life. It is my life at this point.
Here you go. Thank you. You get a little signature there for you. Appreciate it.
This is a unicorn. It's a mystical, one-of-a-kind creature in the forest of Gainesville. And somebody out there wants high-end apartments, and they want it right here for some reason. That's what we're up against. The jam actually started as a hobby between myself and two of my friends. Just a little fun project to help pay the rent on the remainder of a lease, which would be the last contractual lease this space would ever have. No money, no business plan, no experience, and very briefly after we started, we were on a month-to-month lease. Any business person out there would cringe if you told them that you wanted to try to run a legitimate business on a month-to-month lease. They would probably laugh at you and be like, don't even try that. And at the time we had a very amateur setup. We didn't have a lot of PA gear. And then within a month or two, a lot of the local bands started coming to us and requesting the opportunity to put on a show here. We never really had any expectations, and I think part of that is what makes it a little bit magical, because we didn't come into this with a big business plan. We just kind of did something that we did for fun and because we loved it and because we loved our people. And that cocktail, I guess it worked. So there have been a couple bands that have definitely used the jam as their launch pad, so to speak. Locachino, Flatland, they recently won a competition, which was fantastic, which was a feather in my cap, just because two local bands that have been incubated here won a national competition out of six slots, I think, in the entire country. 800 people entered, and 2 of 6 came from Gainesville and started in the jam. I'm pretty proud of that. I like that a little bit. The Jamily is a word that I didn't necessarily like at first. I thought it was a little exclusionary. I thought it kept some people out. But it's really the opposite, because at the end of the day, anyone that comes here and they feel there's a kind of acceptance and openness about our venue, especially on World Wednesdays with the local crowd. At this point, it's become a definitive part of what the jam is the Jamily, and now when you talk to people, you just have to say the word and they know what you're talking about. And there's a distinct group and community in town that know they're a part of it and are proud to be a part of it and have taken the jam and our culture and kind of run with it. And I think that's a signal that you're doing something right when people take things and they make more of it than what you even intended to do in the first place. So I'm a Jamily member now, I think. Nationally known artists that have come through the jam would include Michael Minert, the Main Squeeze, the Original Wailers, Dopapod, the Heavy Pets, Pato Bonton, you can't forget about him. At first, hosting artists like that was really intimidating. The Original Wailers show was the first time that I saw the backyard completely packed full of people. It felt pretty triumphant. It was one of those like movie moments where I don't know how to describe it other than that. It was just a fantastic feeling to overcome so many obstacles and have challenged ourselves and win. Yeah, it's more than a music venue. It's a community. It's a community of people that have a certain outlook on life and care about the moment being a sacred time that we make it as good as we can. You know, it's like live in the moment. That whole idea is very Jamily-ish. That's what kind of makes this place great. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We've been under the threat of demolition for 3 years now. We started with this idea, we'll just ride it till the wheels fall off. The impending close is one of those things that is a constant shadow hanging over us. I get asked almost every day, well, when is the jam closing? When are they taking your building away? When are they gonna do this? We don't know. For all intents and purposes, we have a highly successful business. And because somebody wants apartments, they're just gonna scoop us out and throw us in the trash. And you can't remake the jam. There's no other place that feels like this. I don't wanna do it again if it's gonna be a low resolution copy. I don't know, it makes me sad. It sucks, you know, I mean, but what can you do? So the space may go away, you know, the body may die, but the spirit, you can't take that, that's not gonna go away. You know, we'll come sprinkle unicorn dust back on this place once in a while. It will live on forever in some fashion. Without too much conceit, I know what I'm doing and I know how to run this business. And I'm gonna be carrying the jam on my back. Its spirit will be in a little satchel with me forever. So anywhere that I go, I'm taking it with me. This place and all the people involved in this place have definitely revitalized the music scene in Gainesville in a way. Now Gainesville is on the map on all kinds of festival bands. They see Gainesville, they try to call, they want to make a stop here because we created an audience. We built it. It didn't exist before we got here. We can take credit for that. When we go, that'll still be here. So the music scene is healthier because of our presence. There's a momentum to it now that I think it will continue to carry on. Gainesville has a great music scene. It's not, the death of the jam isn't gonna cause, it's not gonna skip a beat. It may mourn a little bit. There may be a little backlash. There might be a little grumpy. There might be a little protest. There might be some letters sent. But it's gonna continue. It's gonna be just fine. When it comes to closing down the jam, we could just write it off, close it down. Our lives would be a lot easier, a lot less stress, a lot less struggle. But I'll tell you what, none of us have any inclination to do that whatsoever because we love this place. And if they want to tear it down, they can get their bulldozers and they can get their cranes or they can get whatever they want. And I'll be standing on the fucking roof the day they come with the bulldozers, maybe with a sign, maybe with chains on, I don't know. But they're gonna have to bring the bulldozers before we walk out of here. And there's not gonna be any surrender. It's to the death. There's no quarter in this fight. People think us. And that, although it feels good, is humbling because it's backwards. I learned how to do this business because I had the opportunity that was given to me by this amazing community and this music scene. People like Flatland and Locachino and Savance Soul and Grit and all the other amazing bands that come through here that have trusted us to foster them and be a host for them. And the Jamily and World Wednesday crowd and all the musicians that come to jam, all of those people are what make this happen. It's like thanking the paintbrush. The paintbrush is just the tool, it's the thing, but the artist holds the paintbrush and uses it to create something beautiful, and the artist is the community that we have here in Gainesville. The artist, the person holding the paintbrush, is everyone else. I'm a tool that comes in here and sweeps the floors and puts in a beer order and books bands. That's not, I appreciate that. Hey, thank you paintbrush. Thank you you worked well. So I thank everyone else, really from the bottom of my heart, and the most humble way that I can say it is that everyone else, the Jamily and the people in Gainesville have made the jam what it is. And I'm lucky to have been given the opportunity to be part of this.